Okay, we will start in the study sessions. And the first item up is Ferguson CID petition discussion. And I would just like to remind everybody of the process is this step, sometimes a developer has not taken the initiative to send us their interpretation of our CID policy. So that was what will take place today. If there are any questions on their interpretation, that is why this is here for the discussion. Once we've had this discussion today, we will send the request to Gilmore Bell to prepare the necessary documents for the CID work and let us know in what timing they can have ready for a hearing. At that point, we will inform Ferguson, specifically Rachel Orr, who's on the call today, and we'll work from there. Since the city attorney is unable to be here today, I'm filling in, but I'm not an attorney, so we have a problem. Houston. And literally, Jeff Houston fits that old problem that we talked about when we had a space problem. But anyway, welcome to the meeting, Rachel. It's good to have you on. And I will let you make whatever comments that you would like to make. And then we have an opportunity to ask some questions and maybe gain some clarifications.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you guys for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the CID petition and a draft resolution we provided to the mayor last week. The folks from Ferguson had some conflicts this morning, so they are not able to attend, but would be willing to, if needed, to meet with other city officers to discuss the project in more detail. As the commission will remember, this CID petition is in line with the development agreement that was previously approved by the commission last month, maybe just a few weeks ago, actually. And it relates to the development of a Candlewood Inn and Suites and 2 retail parcels that are going to be used as food service providers. And that the petition specifically relates to that for the formation of a CID, the imposition of a 2% CID sales tax. I see that there's the map up for where the proposed boundaries of the CID will be located. There's no special assessment that is being requested, so really just the 2% property tax. The total project is estimated to be about $13 million. There's about 5 or so million that we have estimated to be eligible for reimbursement from CID taxes. And over the 22-year term of the imposition of the sales tax, we're estimating that maybe 1.9 million of that would be reimbursed to the developer of the 5 million of eligible costs. With that, I'll I guess open it up for any questions that anybody on the commission might have about the project or the CID formation.
I would like to call on our treasurer, Janetta, and she has a couple of questions, Rachel.
Okay.
Good morning, Rachel. Thanks for providing the document. In reviewing it, I guess I'd like to start off on the one thing that I found during the review is that the development agreement indicated an estimated cost of 12.2 million, but the CID indicates 13 million.
Yeah, let me pull up the development agreement. I thought that we had updated that on the final version to be the 12.9. I think that we'd attached a summary of the development costs as Exhibit C, and the version I'm looking at had 12.99,380,000. And the sources and uses on Exhibit C had that as well. Maybe you're looking at a outdated draft. The initial project projections were 12.2, but because of increased lumber costs due to supply and COVID-19 and some other increased costs, the final budget ended up coming closer to 13 million for the project.
Okay, it's possible I don't have the most current developers agreement, so
I'll email that this morning to the mayor and he can forward it on to you.
Okay.
okay.
That's
Or
fine.
I'm on the email chain too from
Oh, great.
last Friday. So
Okay. I'll send that over.
the other thing that I noted was that on the developer agreement on page 4 and page 8, the completion dates don't match. So maybe that's another discrepancy that got.
Oh, the the completion date on as the definition as opposed to the one that's reflected on the exhibits.
Yeah,
The completion date should be exactly.
it's the definition, and then on page 8, it is section D of Article 1.
Yeah, so the completion date is actually a year later. So we have an anticipated completion date for all 3 of the parcels, the hotel, the restaurant pad site 1 and restaurant pad site 2. And then the completion date is a year after that. So it's sort of a drop dead date by when, if we don't have any of those projects done by the completion date as defined, that we don't get the benefit of the abatement.
Okay. And that also pertains to the CID, right? On the completion dates?
Not the CID, just the IRBs and the abatement are foregone if we're unable to complete by the completion date.
Okay, I guess I'm just going to ask, is that the intent that we thought that the CID will continue if the completion dates aren't met? Guess I would ask the city.
Yes, that is true, because then that would only apply to the 92-room Candlewood Suite Hotel.
Correct. Right. We that was a compromise that the city was willing to give to us because we didn't want the development of the retail out parcels to affect the biggest part of the project, which is the hotel development, since the development of those are sort of outside of our hands and will be developed by a restaurateur.
Okay.
And I would say the reasoning that we did that is in light, and we moved dates back a little bit from what we originally discussed, is that in light of the current environment with COVID-19, we allowed extra time, but we do not want to penalize the extended stay hotel, which will probably start soon if we have trouble on the restaurant side. And that's a brief summary. Do you agree with that, Rachel?
Yes, sir. I do agree with that. And I think it will be necessary possibly on the retail parcels in order to be able to get a sit down restaurant in there to give us a little bit more cushion to be able to find the right fit there for somebody that is more sit down and less of a fast food type service. So that was the compromise.
Yeah, and one of our mandatory points, I'll call it, was that we go for a sit-down restaurant on that site. So this is what we were able to work out.
Mhm.
Okay. Another item on the description of the project and the development agreement, Exhibit B, versus the description of the project in the petition, Exhibit A. Exhibit A adds Number 5, benches or other seating, furniture, trash receptacles, marquees, awnings, canopies, walls, and barriers. That's not included in the developer agreement. Was this added and agreed upon by the city?
It's going to fall in what's eligible under our CID, which that detail wasn't in the developer agreement.
Correct.
So I don't see a problem.
I think we'll go back and look at our policy and see whether it includes that piece with it.
Right. It will have to go, it will have to fall within our policy.
I believe
Yeah.
it does.
I believe that Rachel has been reading the policy more than we have.
Yes, I've got it almost memorized at this point.
And I would remind you again, when I talked about the process, that all of this, including the developer agreement, will go to Gilmore Bell so that they can put together what we need to approve the CID.
What's the time frame there, do you know?
I don't know. It will have to be whatever Gilmore Bell gives us, depending, hopefully that we can come back. They will give us something that we can come back and set a hearing date next Monday. Not the hearing next Monday, but a date for the hearing next Monday.
Okay.
Is going back to that last item, is the seating furniture, is that indoor furniture? Or is that like if there's benches outside, what is that?
Yeah, I think that's intended to be outdoors. And I did pull up the CID policy, and it does have benches or other seating, furniture, trash receptacles, marquees, awnings, canopies. So that did come from the CID policy, and that's maybe why it's a little different from what's in the development agreement, as I added that because I thought it could be relevant to the project, and had it put into the CID petition for the city's consideration. But on what actual seating items they would be using that for, I think that would be outdoor only. I don't know on indoor seating what they're really going to have, but I could check on that with Ferguson and get back to you guys on the intent there.
I think the policy is that has to be outdoor.
Yeah, okay. We'll make sure that is
Okay.
clarified in the petition.
Okay.
Rachel, I just want to make sure that our listeners and those people watching this today understand what an extended stay hotel means. What does that mean specifically?
Yeah, they typically will have kitchenettes, and they're intended for people to be able to stay there for more than just overnight. So weeks at a time, there's a little kitchenette with a refrigerator, stove, microwave, and it's more of a suite style than
Okay.
a traditional hotel room.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
You have anything else, Janetta?
The only other question I had was pertaining to the grants. I know the developer agreement talked about the grant, and I was just wondering if the grant is awarded, is that an eligible expense in the CID to be reimbursed?
Could be.
Yes, it should be. And we submitted an economic development grant to KDOT Wednesday, and it's already been transferred to their committee. So I'm hoping that we will know whether we're getting a grant or whether this has to be a CID issue. So we did everything we could to keep moving forward.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay, do you have anything, Rachel?
No, sir. That is all for me.
Okay, what we will do is we'll look for those clarification points. We will hopefully contact Gilmore Bell today or tomorrow. And as soon as get an estimate of their ability to respond, but I will get back with you, Rachel. Anything that you said that you would send to me, if you send it to me, I'll distribute it out.
I guess there is one thing I would add. The name of the entity submitting the petition will change, will likely change. I believe that they're using a partnership, the development partnership that's actually going to take title to the land. And so I guess one caveat on the timing is we want to have the land closed on first. So we were kind of waiting for the development agreement to get approved by the city so we could move forward with talking to the lenders for the project. I believe those conversations are final as of last week. And so I just wanted to give that one caveat on timing. I believe they're going to be closing this month, but I want to confirm that before we formally submit the petition and
Okay.
move forward with the public hearing.
Okay. But it will still, under our developer agreement, fall under Ferguson?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, when you have that, send it to me and to Jeff Houston. But we will relay that on for however it needs to be in the CID petition.
Okay.
And we'll work on setting a date for the public hearing that's established in the resolution,
Yeah,
as long as it's in accordance with the time frame that we need to
right.
have that.
But we won't do that until we have Gilmore Bell telling us a date that they can hit.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. Sounds great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on. I think you were on earlier in the meeting, so you probably get Zoom saddle sores today.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions here?
No.
On the bench? Okay, thank you for all your questions, Janetta. Okay, we'll move on to Fire Department, Ladder 1 tires.
So if you guys remember at the end of last year, we had our DOT inspections and ladder one set of the rear duals, which was up for rotation last year, was beyond the DOT standards for tread depth. And those rear duals, what we tried to do is put the newer ones on the front and then slide them back in their later life. We rotate them to the rear. That has a walking axle on it, so it's pretty hard on rear tires. But to bring the truck back into DOT standards, we are going to bring to you 4 tires. We got quotes from Kansas Land, Best One Tire Service, and Canton Service Center. Canton was by far the cheapest and most available. So next week we'd like to bring that for $2,677 for rear tires.
Yeah, very next week.
The next item that we want to bring next week is the annual purchase of personal protective equipment. We bring this right at the first of the year. We try to get in before the New York order. Unfortunately, the buying authority that we buy under is in Wichita, and that contract came up for negotiation again this year, so it delayed that. We are not going to make it in before the New York order, which has already been placed. But if we bring this next week, we will be able to make it in before the Wichita order, which is also another large order. But we try to beat that every year. We came in, it's a little bit higher this year per set, but from the average quotes that we received from other vendors, this is still the best option, is to get on the Wichita Buying Authority. And the other ones came in at $4,500 to $5,000 per set. So we're looking at roughly about $2,200 to $2,300 per set based on the size.
So you'll bring it next week?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Wayne Burns.
Morning again. Several items here. The first one is on the municipal center. On January 19th, 2021, a pinhole leak was found on a half-inch copper 90-degree coming off the trunk line in the ladies' restroom. Jim's Plumbing and staff cut 7 holes in the sheetrock and tile to find the leak. Emergency repairs had to be made, and we have received an invoice in the amount of $1,665.69.
Bring it.
You bring it next week?
Is that
Next item,
is that just the plumbing bill, or does that include anything that Lyle had to do to go back and fix it?
that's the plumbing bill. That's Jim's Plumbing.
You know, everything that Lyle took to fix it, was there a cost associated with that too?
Yes, there was. He's got it figured out. I can get it.
Okay.
Total cost. Next one is a park improvement at Linnea Park. Staff has requested the street department to give us a quote on to construct a 6-foot by 20-foot, 23-foot long sidewalk and a 15 by 15 pad, 4 inches deep, for Linnea Park, and the cost of that was $1,157.71.
They bring it next week.
Last item will be the Turkey Creek Golf Course. We received this late Friday. The clay valve in the pump house is corroded, rusted, and was put in 2005. And the condition of the valve is the exposure to the effluent water. Staff has got a quote for $5,087.35. And that will come out of the Turkey Creek's line item 2450.
Can we
Building
put
and
this on
maintenance.
today's business when we go back into session? Because he needs to get that ordered.
You okay, Janetta?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Okay.
we'll bring 3.3 up as the first item when we come back into session.
Next item I have is just a public information. We'd like to remind everybody with the return of this cold weather that the city of McPherson warns the community members to stay off the waterways, lakes, and ponds. Cold temperatures do not guarantee ice on lakes and ponds is safe. While ice may appear to be solid, it may not be safe on which to skate or walk. Citizens are advised to obey all posted signs on city-owned lakes and waterways. And we will be doing a news release with Sydney
Good,
today.
good. Call on Jeff Woodward, Public Works.
First item is out of the street department. In 2020, the commissioner approved patch and pave, which was a cold mix patch material from Schilling Asphalt. This was a new material produced by Schilling Asphalt, Manhattan, Kansas. This material works better than the cold patch we had been using. The price is competitive, but it's a little further away. We'd like to get a $10,000 approval to purchase as needed through the remainder of the year. In the event this cold patch is not available through Schilling, we would purchase the material previously used from APAC.
Okay, you need that now or can we wait?
We can wait.
Okay,
How's
Bring
that
it in.
shipped, Jeff?
Sorry,
How do you get that? Is it shipped in,
we have to take a truck down and.
oh, it's
load it.
bulk? Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Next item is hot mix asphalt. We purchased numerous, or we have numerous areas that require patching. If we patch with hot mix material, the results last, it's a longer term fix. We'll purchase the hot mix from the county if available. If the county is not producing, then we would have to purchase that through APAC. And again, this is just $10,000 as needed through the year.
okay.
Next, sign replacement program. We've developed a 9-year sign replacement program to comply with MUTCD requirements. We're on the 6th year of the 9-year program. We have 350 to 500 signs scheduled to be replaced each year. The estimate for the sign, posts, and hardware is just under $25,000.
Okay. Bring it next week.
Next item, again, out of the street department, the shop air compressor. The compressor and the motor have worn out and needs to be replaced. We've priced a 7.5 horsepower, 80-gallon air compressor at 2 local stores. Lowest is Tractor Supply McPherson in the amount of $2,100.
Okay.
Finally, out of stormwater utility, on February 8th, the commission approved $4,243.50. That was for materials only to improve 4 of the 6 flumes flowing into Oxford Point ditch that have experienced severe erosion problems. Along with that, to help get the water to the ditch behind Hunter Court and Harvest Court, there are 3 trickle channels that need to be extended. We put together an estimate in the amount of $24,6675 to complete that work.
Next week.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I see that Jeff Sharp is on the call, and we've finished our work with Rachel on the CID. Jeff, do you have something, or do you want to just visit with Rachel?
No, I apologize. Yeah, I had another appointment this morning. I wish I could have gone on earlier, so I was just jumping on it. I didn't know how late it was, but I will visit with Rachel. So just trying to jump in, see if I could catch the tail end of it, but I'll get with Rachel.
You missed it by about 10 minutes.
Okay, well,
What I'll give you just a summary is there were some points that we raised, but I think we're clear. And we will take this to Gilmore Bell. They do all our work on the CID proposal. And as soon as they give us a time they can hit for a hearing, we will let you know, and hopefully we will post that hearing date next week.
okay,
The
great.
date, not the hearing.
Understood.
All right. Thanks for coming
Okay.
back in. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, we're to administration.
Okay, first item I have for you on January see, in 2020, HRE Partners, the city's job hosting site, went away, and the city moved their job postings to ksgovjobs.com, which is hosted by a company called High Touch Technologies Incorporated. A number of the other, the HRE Partners website was run by Sojourner County, and a number of the other partner cities went ahead and switched over to that ksgovsjob.com, and we've been running off that for the last year. We would like to go ahead and renew our participation to this site again here in 2021. The amount for us to do this is $1,200. I will say that if you go to that actual site, which I have a link here, there's 23 other government agencies in Kansas that subscribe to that website. So that's where the real advantage comes, is that if you've got people looking for specific government jobs, it does provide that real advantage to being on that site with others.
Good.
You can bring it next week.
Yep, we'll just bring it next week.
Okay.
And then I will defer to Janetta on 2020 budget to actual expenses.
Good morning again, commissioners.
Good morning again to you.
I laid a copy for each one of the commissioners, and I put some extras on the table for department heads, of which I also emailed this out to them. So everybody should have copies. If not, shoot me an email and I can get it out to you. But just so the commission knows, Richard and I and anybody that's been involved from the department heads or to finance are heavily involved in the audit right now. We do have 2020 closed out and in the process of finalizing all of the expenses based off of the 13th month. That's why I'm here presenting the results of 2020 based off of the expenditures that were made in that 13th month. Before I dive into expenditures, I just want to say, as I reported at the beginning of January, the revenues in the general fund came in a little over 10.4 million, which exceeded our 9.7 million budgeted. So that was $730,000 more. Of that, as you can see, under the Spark reimbursement column on the expenditure side, 444,000 of that was Spark funding. So yes, our revenues were up significantly, over what we budgeted. But more than half of that was based off of the money we received for our COVID expenses due to the CARES Act. So it was good news that revenues came in like we did based off of what we were faced with back in May when we did the target budget. But today I want to go over the 13th month and our final expenses for 2020. And so as you can see in kind of the purple or lavender column, that is the 13th month that totaled $318,554 out of the general fund. Compared to 2019, those numbers were $418,988.27. So there's a variance from 2019 to 2020 of $100,000 drop in expenses, or 33%. If you look at the next column, which is the total expenses, this is the total expenses from January through the 13th month in the general fund, a little over 9.7 million. How this compares to 2019, 2019 ended at 10.5 million. So we did a great job of keeping our expenses under control. And as you know, when we went through the target budget, we eliminated the transfer out of the departments into the equipment fund, which was a little over $650,000. So the variance from 2019 to 2020 was around $804,000, or an 8% drop. And so that was deliberate based off of holding off on that transfer until 2021. So just so everybody knows, we will make up for that transfer that we held off in 2020 and implement that in 2021. And we'll continue to watch revenues as they come in, particularly sales tax, which has a major impact on the revenues coming into the general fund. And as I noted here, the Spark reimbursement, that is the money that we were reimbursed from the CARES Act from the county for our COVID-19 expenses related to personnel costs, as well as some of the capital costs that we approved to help us with a lot of the COVID issues that we were faced with. So from an expense standpoint, we did a great job, as well as receiving monies from the county. So it was kind of an interesting year, all in all. Are there any questions on any of the line items as it relates to the general fund?
Doesn't look like there are any.
Okay, I guess the other good news is based off of that, we didn't cut into the $3.2 million reserve. So that's good news. That amount of money will then carry over into 2021 to help fund that budget. The same thing for the funds outside of the general fund. You can see the 2020 13th month cost and then the total expenses. And then out to the right hand side, you can also see those funds that received Spark fundings for the COVID expenses that they made during the year. So hats off to everyone and all the hard work in 2020, holding expenses down, holding our temporary and seasonal employees down. I don't know that we're out of the woods yet, but hopefully with the vaccine coming out, we'll see what the new normal looks like. And hopefully people will get out and continue to support sales tax and hopefully get back into some of the hotels and increase our transient guest tax. Any questions?
I don't see any questions. I just have a comment. Either at the end second half of March, I'd like to be able to evaluate where we're at in start taking a look at target budget. Things always are changing. We'll probably, if we do it near the end of March, we'll have 3 months of sales tax and some other things. So we'll have an idea of where we're going with that. So I hope that as we move forward with, we'll do our usual target budgeting and take a look at where we're at, what we're doing. But Jeanette is doing a good job of keeping us up to date.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that that will go and coincide with a spring retreat where we can look at our capital needs and look where we are financially. So I think that's a good time frame. And then we'll also start talking about the 2022 budget, which we're working on along with the audit. So it's a busy time for everyone. But thanks for everybody's help and support in 2020, and we'll keep on keeping on, right?
That's right. KO.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Okay, planning and zoning, Virgil Lyons.
Morning.
Just wanted to report that we've received no further recommended revisions to the draft subdivision regulation as they were last presented. If there's no further comment or discussion, then I recommend we go ahead and bring it to a vote. They're complete.
Okay, can you bring it next week in
Yeah.
entirety with a motion?
Yes.
Yes, we'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you, Marge. No small task to get through all this each time, right?
Yeah. Get to do the zoning regulations next.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
The
job.
good thing is you'll get to do it again. Okay, is there anything else on study session?
I don't think so.
Seeing nothing, we are back in session as a commission.